every athlete, every person, every human being has an opportunity. Some opportunities don't come when you want them. But if you're prepared, good opportunities can happen. Always be ready, because you never know when your number is gonna get called.
I'm not coming back.
Emiy Apparel. Encourage me. I'm young.
Calvin T. Mann, leading Emiy, served over 20,000 youth through speaking, coaching, and mentoring. He has inspired us for years. Welcome to Emiy TV Podcast with your host, Calvin T. Mann, the Encourager.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Put Your Family First Podcast. I am your host with the hostess of the mostest. And Miss Monique in the building, Heather's in the building.
Hello.
So today we're going to get right into it because what a day. Saturday was Respect Day. And our partners over at Detroit School of Arts, Juniors 10's team, and we all collaborated on a dance video for the work. And I'm anxious to really get into that conversation. How you doing, Heather?
I'm good.
Good, Ms. Monique?
I'm great. Yes.
Awesome. So now that we're here and we're getting into it, if it's all possible, if we can kick it off with the video.
Okay.
So if you could play the video, because a lot of people are not understanding change. And this is what we do every day.
Right.
You read the paper, it makes you cry. So many bad things happening that you can't deny. You've got to do more than just pray. We should work hard, people, each and every day.
Love and change, love and change. Love and do, yeah, love and do. Exactly what? Exactly. You want it too? Yes, it will. Yes, live yours. Live your life authentic. Make it authentic as possible. Be true. Keep it 100. No gimmick. Yup. Breathe in. Don't doubt. Don't doubt. Breathe out. Let it out. Good vibes. Gotta keep the vibes going. Life short. Short as possible. Do good. Do your best. Love God. Love it up. We stood. Yeah, we did. Shit did.
Hadn't happened in the world, losing its traction. They say, turn down your passion, but that's why we scrapping. Dragging, pulling, most in the same direction. Ain't no hating, true Christian, shaking up the resurrection. Total misconception, how you move. I choose love, 10 commandments, follow the rules. God got me and I know it. In fact, he always show it. See, yeah, I saw it. Don't matter, rich or poor. Yeah, I'm from the 8-township, Detroit City. They got my back, and I'm bringing their help. Women need help in the suburbs, help in the hood, help in rural areas. The the sticks and the wood. We need help in the hospitals, help the high school. I'm serious to say, we need help for these fools. We need help for the leadership. Do your job, lead. Turn up the love and turn down the greed. We need help.
All right. Go.
Yes. Fire, absolutely. No question.
Yes.
Those kids were handed a task, and they did their thing. And to take you on a journey, DSA has been a part of our Respect Day movement since 2016. So this was not. This is not somebody who we just discovered. We know the talent at the school. In fact, 2 years ago, the dance team came out for Respect Day and literally had me in tears, right? So it was just a matter of, because there's so much talent, from the boys choir to the poetry to the act, like it is so much talent at the school. And so I was moved by the process when we saw, we were over at Southfield at the Storytellers.
Twisted Storytellers. And I said, bingo. It was a young lady dancing from DSA. Amazing, right? Mm-hmm. And the next day I reached out and we put it in the hands of the kids. So one day I'm going to have them come on and share, but we put it in their hands. And so they were tasked with choosing whatever T-shirt they wanted. They were tasked with the formula, how they wanted the routine to go, the whole nine. All we did was show up, videotape, edit, and put it out, right? But they understood prior to what it was about. So they know about the Smash Suicide campaign, and they know about Respect Day. So with that being said, I know, Heather, you got some things to say. So today's topic is we got to help, the importance of volunteers and advocates and champions now. Why we have to do the work now. We got a lot of jockeying for different positions, which I understand, but we got to do this work with or without, right? So the more we stand back and sit back, the more crime and violence and brokenness and we'll continue to see, right? So you got to put your hands to the plow. I know this is your show, so you like how I put that, Moni? I know this is your show, so do your thing. I'm listening. Where you want to take us today? Well, thank you for sharing the space. I'm always excited to have our conversations on Emiy TV Put Your Family First podcast, because ultimately how we restore what community looks like is going to be through family. And family as well as community, we are really sick. We're sick physically, we're sick mentally, we're sick spiritually. And the only way that you fix, solve, resolve illness is to first be aware of it. Second, you go to a source that is credible, that has resources, tools, and information, and that you know has a level of wisdom. And so each one of us is tasked to, one, I think everybody needs a mentor,
because we don't have all the answers, we don't have all the information, and we don't have all the tools. But what you do is you go to someone who is a credible source. Some people go to a doctor when they're feeling ill or sick. Some people go to a therapist or a counselor when they're feeling mentally unwell or unstable. We have all of these different places that we go to make sure that we are well, our families are well, our community is well. However, one of the pieces that's missed, I think, often is the work that we have to do. We have to do our part. So even with illness, there's always a deeper meaning. There's always something deeper physically. There's always something deeper spiritually. So we need to find those sources of the root causes of why we are in the condition we're in as individuals, as families, as communities. Why are we in the condition that we're in? And what can we do about it? So the first step is that each one of us has to work on our own healing, our own health and wellness while we are doing some of the other things that need to take place. But that's also finding that credible source. So whoever is your mentor, whoever you are getting fed through in a positive way that is impacting your health in a positive way, impacting your family's health in a positive way, impacting your community health in a positive way, we need to look to them as our advocates, our champions, and also we have volunteers, right? And in all areas of our life, we have people who are volunteers, who are advocates, who are champions, who may be and serve as your voice of wisdom. So I want to make sure that we acknowledge that first. And we also make sure that sometimes that voice is a voice of our elder. Sometimes that voice is a voice of experience. And sometimes that voice is a voice of somebody that has particular expertise. And so we have to find our source. We have to find our spiritual source and our spiritual grounding so that we have some guidelines to our values for what motivates us to act and also react to certain situations. So I'm going to frame this conversation with that first, because I want you to keep that in mind as we talk through some of the things we're going to talk about today. I also want to make sure that as we're having this conversation, that we have a reflection of what's happening around us. There is a lot that's happening with us right now. It's a lot that's going on. And you know, Calvin and I talk about this every week about the restoration of families. And one of the ways that we do our work for Emiy, Encourage Me I'm Young, the organization, and we've been around for 17 years. In May, we get to celebrate that, which is exciting. So that means that we have some longevity, we have some experience, we have some wisdom, we have some of the things that we talked about. And so opportunities that we can connect, and this is also our volunteer recruitment month. So you might see on social media, information that's asking for people to step up, come and join us in this volunteer work so that you can be deployed in those spaces where you're needed most. If you are interested in the restoration of family, if you are interested in how we are seeding in the lives of our boys, then join us in this work. We cannot do it alone. We did not start doing it. We can't continue without you. And so we need enough people who understand the mission and vision, or who are at least interested in learning more about the vision so that they can do their part. Now, we know that everybody has a particular calling, a particular interest, and that's okay. If this is the line that you're called to, the restoration of families, working with boys, then this is where we need you. If you're a father, if you're a mother or grandmother raising sons, this is where you need to be connected and plugged in, because that's how we're going to change the narratives that we're seeing. And so, Calvin, are you trying to get my attention?
I'm just, where are we going on framework? How does that?
I am talking framework.
Oh, okay.
Volunteers, advocates, and champions is what we're talking about right now. Right. And our volunteer recruitment month. So every Sunday at 3 o'clock at New St. Paul Church, which is located at 340 Southfield Freeway Service Drive, just north of Finco and Grand River. So if you're interested, then come to our orientation at 3 o'clock on that day, on Sunday. So every Sunday this month, we're doing recruitment. So we need volunteers, we need advocates, we need champions. So we do a lot. If you haven't noticed, with Encourage Me and Young Emiy, we do a lot. So we have a lot of campaigns that are working simultaneously, and there's a lot of work yet to be done. So we work in schools, we work in community, we have special events, we have summits, we have a man-to-man youth summit coming up in November, we have a women's summit coming up in October, we have
That's reversed there.
No, it's October for the women's summit. And it's November for the Man-to-Man Youth Summit.
You said it the other way. That was reversed. That's why I said it was reversed, babe.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So we have activities every month, but we need event coordinators, we need event planners, we need volunteers to help us support those events and get people there and make sure that we're serving the people who show up. So we need you in all kinds of ways. We need for you to plug in. So if you don't have a volunteer assignment yet, consider us as that assignment for you. And so I want to talk about some of the reasons why we need to volunteer. And we need to be active in this work and part of this framework. So I want to talk about, I really want to talk about our young people. And we know that our young people, and, you know, we focus on boys, but our young people have a great deal of promise. Clearly, that was shown in the video. It was one male represented in the video, and the rest of them were female, which is much like the spaces that we're seeing right now. But both of them are thriving. All of them are talented, and we need to make sure that we're supporting all of our young people in their journey.
So, if I may, can we push that?
Push what?
That information, and do this information first, since we just did the video, and run through this?
Go ahead, Calvin.
Right? And so what inspired the song and the video?
You want me to answer that question?
Sure.
No, you don't. Would you
Yes,
go
I
ahead? Answer the question.
I wasn't asked. I asked it to you. Let's get it. What inspired the song and the video to you?
So I'll share with you that one of the ways that we try to get information out to people is through music. And because we have such a talented network, starting with Calvin himself, we have a lot of positive music that is produced. We have our Emiy theme song, which has a music video to it. Everything that we do is a reflection of the work that we do. And the Emiy theme song started out because it was a tribute to those silent voices of children who have been lost over the years. And so Calvin has been laying church where kids were killed long before Emiy even started. So it's part of his legacy to make sure that those children's deaths are not in vain and that they are not forgotten. So every child's life is valuable, even the ones that we have lost. We have to choose to stop that now. And so this work that we're doing is about our choice to stop that now. And so we also have a video called Put Your Family First. Again, that's part of where the name of our podcast is from, because it's so important that family is the real key, is the real core to our community healing, our individual healing, because there's so much involved in it that we are connected to, and it's generation, because God works in generation. So we have to be aware that this information is prevalent in our community and what we can do about it. So the ways that we use music, the way that we use the talent that we have video messaging around our Smash Suicide campaign. So all of the work that we do, and especially this newest release, is really about how we get people connected to the message and get connected to the work. Plug in. So we use music as a vehicle to do that. And we do that in lots of ways. So just to make sure that people are listening beyond just the part that makes you want to dance, but the part that makes you want to act is what we're trying to tap into with our community.
Next question. this goes right along with what you were saying, right? Mm-hmm. What do we need to do to take action now?
So part of what we need to do is some of the things I was just talking about. You need to be an advocate, you need to be a champion, or you need to be a volunteer. But there are other spaces where you can be a funder, a philanthropist. All of these other spaces are there and available for people to act. Whatever you're called to do and how you're called to line up, align. We have to align. We can no longer allow our children, our families, we can no longer allow them to fall through the cracks because they don't have information or knowledge or resource or somebody encouraging them or mentoring them. We have to put a stop to what we're seeing. It has to start on both ends. It has to start at the alpha and the omega. That means at our children and as our adults. We have to reconnect with our elders because that is where a lot of that wisdom, that is where a lot of our DNA code is embedded. We have to be aware that all of these tools, all of these people in our community have to work together. And there is no room on the sideline and there is no room for delay. Every moment we delay, we lose another life, whether it's by suicide, whether it's by violence, whether it's just by hopelessness, and people give up. And they give up on themselves and they give up on the rest of us. And when people are in that mind frame, then we are in more crisis than ever. And the crisis doesn't end unless people put it to an end. We have to choose to be different.
I like how you said that. What ways? No, here's one. What if I'm not qualified, Miss Heather? Like, what qualifications do you need, you know what I mean, to step up and help?
So the first thing you have to be is aware. And that was one of the ways that we started this conversation. The awareness is really important. There is a place for everybody. There is no way that we can survive without the people who are already in our circle, who are already in our spaces. What we have to do, one, is be aware of what you can do, what you're called to do, and then act.
And here's the answer to what if I don't have extra time? Donate. So donate, spread the message, share it with other people. What's going on? Share it with people at your job. This is important information, and it should be shared. The last one is, what if I have a record? You should call. We have expungement parties and resources everywhere. You can get that help. In particular, you know, if you are a father, there's plenty of help out here for you now. You can get that help as well. And I wanted to really add on to, you know, because I shared early on what really inspired the song and the video, but the song was inspired by my dad. My dad was a gospel pioneer, and so that's what we wanted to do, because we've come up against the system and trying to retrieve my father's music from Motown and any other place that he has written songs. We've come up against the system. And every time we reach out to find out where his royalties and things like that. So this was another way for, when my mom passed away, I told my brother I had to become someone to tell their story, and it's happening. And between my dad and my brothers and sisters and family, legacy kind of fell into my hands to really go above and beyond to figure this out, right? And so this was just a tribute. We Got the Help originally was written in 1977. So the song that you hear has my brother, has my son, myself, and my dad. So 3 generations on that song. And so right, and so it's just important to understand that even back then, that's why the song starts out, you read the paper and it makes you cry. Well, think about that. I was reading the paper when I began this whole movement by laying shirts where kids was getting killed. It was every time I picked up the paper to read, I recognized that a child was being slain or murdered. And so that's when I started by laying shirts where kids was getting killed in 2004.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about, it's so many troubling statistics. There's so much that you can turn on social media, you can turn on the news, and it's all about the negative things that are happening in our community, that are happening to people. There is so much good that is also taking place. We need people to be a part of the good, because our good will offset and eventually eradicate all the bad and the negative. So it has to be a mindset shift. And I call this mindset shift a new village mindset, because the real healing is going to come from the village. And the village is what's going to heal the family and what's going to heal the community, because our community is sick. We are sick. We're sick in our thinking. We're sick sometimes in our priorities. We're sick in our bodies. And I just wanted to give you a couple of these stats and understanding what I mean when I'm saying sick. Part of we talked about it being a deeper, more spiritual reason that's also connected to our physical illnesses. We have to learn how to get to the roots of things. That means we have to have this continuous process of awareness and healing. It has to go deeper. It has to continue to go deeper. And we have to find the real root causes of our illness. And part of that is our disconnect from our source, our spiritual nature, and our responsibility and our ability to step up and take on some of the work and the changes that are ours to take. There is nobody coming to save you. There's no politics coming to save you. There's no big game coming to save you. There's no special formula that's coming to save you. You're not involved. If you're not involved in something, doing something positive, then what seed do you have to sow? And then what seed do you have to manifest? And you cannot hide behind marijuana, behind the legislation, or behind the use of any kind of substance that takes away your mindset. You can't hide behind these things. It doesn't change it. And so I just want to share a couple of stats around. These are health indicators. And of course, there's disparities in this health indicators. I don't want to even get into that, but I just want people to just be aware that there is a spiritual solution to every problem. So one of the indicators, a couple of them. So there are a couple of categories here. For African Americans, COPD, we're at 10%, 10.1%. That's Native Americans are at 16.3, which is the highest. Cardiovascular disease, we are at 10.2. Hispanics are at 10.3, and Native Americans are at 14.1. Asthma, we are at 19% at the highest rate. Second to asthma is again Native American population. Diabetes, we are at 13%, Hispanics at 14%. Cancer, the highest population is actually, it's unclear. I'm not sure what NH is. The highest is the Arab and white populations are the highest in cancer. Obesity, we are at 40%, Hispanics at 41%. Some of the other rates, this is about the mortality rates, and this is per 100,000. African Americans are at 28.3%. That's the highest. Diabetes, we are at 35%. The highest is 37 with Arab Chaldean populations. Chronic lower respiratory disease, we are at 31%. Native Americans are at 65%.
Wow.
White is at 46%. Heart disease, the numbers are 272.4 for African Americans, and the next highest is 263%, which is the Arab population. Accidents, African Americans are at 64.3%, and we are the highest in accidents. Second to Native Americans at 73.4%. Strokes, African Americans are at 51%. Arab population is at 62.2%. And suicide is highest in white population at 16.4%, and African Americans are at 9.7%. So,
with the boy 5 to 11, right? So you're missing, and those are not on there, but those
no,
are
these
numbers.
are not based on the age; it's based on the culture,
precedent. Right? But you notice where when you got to heart disease, everybody was up there. It's the number one way to die in this world is heart disease. Men, women, black, white, yellow, pink, orange. It's the number one way to die.
So what is that saying when we talk about looking at deeper roots of things? If we're having heart disease on a spiritual level, isn't that saying that we should be looking at how we are using our love? What's really affecting what we care about, what we show we care about? It seems like there's a correlation between heart disease and the way that we treat one another as people.
You know, it's funny you say that because everything kind of teaches us retaliation. So we would be sick, right? Everything teaches us retaliation. If you do this to me, I'm going to do this to you. Everything.
Revenge.
The movies, we were just watching a movie, you know, and it was, and I said, isn't it funny that the murderer gets to ride off with a camper at the end of the movie, and he didn't kill all these people in the movie, but he gets to ride off at the end of the camper to set up part 2.
Can you share that quote for the new shirt that was released for Emiy Apparel?
Which one?
If you
Proverbs 17:13. He who rewarded negativity, right, for positivity, it'll never leave your house. Evil for good. He who rewardeth evil for good. That's Proverbs 17:13. He who rewardeth evil for good, evil shall not depart from his house. Right? And it's one of our shirts because people need to understand that you cannot make evil good. Excuse me. You cannot make evil good. You can't kill somebody and suddenly just say, hey, I did it because they did this. If you look at the murder rate, and then I don't want to get on the spaz because I feel a spaz coming on, right? But if you look at the murder rate, what you just said about murder, right? So what you specifically lined up in about murder, you will hear our people say, oh man, it's those you kill within proximity. So, but you're those who you kill within proximity, you're number 1 at it. You're not number 2. You're not number 5. You're number 1 at it. Which then takes your whole conversation about it to a different process, right? Because you're number 1 at it. You can't be dismissive of a murder rate. Like it's just amazing. And for me and for us, we've not dealt with that. My niece was the first person in our family to be murdered. And I'm talking, we can go back generations. My niece was the first person to be murdered getting off a bus at Finkel and Hubble, snatched to be raped and jugged in the neck by a former prisoner with a shanked her. So she couldn't be saved, and we discovered she was murdered as a Jane Doe on the news. Like, what kind of shit is that? Right? This is what people are dealing with. And we had this fascination where we think that it's in the music. If you, I remember I said it, if you speak death, talk death, sing death, live death, and wear death, wouldn't you have death? Right? So you know, this is period. Like, you can put it how you want to put it, and I'm gonna get off this tangent, but some of y'all walk around in Scarface shirts. but don't have not one black hero in your closet. But you got a Scarface shirt on. I remember going shopping at Christmas, and I looked up, it was a Scarface shirt for sale. Now, of course, people want to say, it's just pop culture. You know, it's just pop culture.
That's conditioning.
That's conditioning because Scarface was the dumbest criminal to ever be publicized on television. He was a dumb criminal. But you get caught up in the fascination of the violence and realize he went out on cocaine and everything else. And immediately, I said back then, immediately after that movie was produced, you saw the increase in violence in our community and how we address each other. And now is multiplied.
Again,
Yeah.
I mean, that goes back to, you know, if you reward evil for good, it
it'll
never leaves your house. So whose house is it in? It's our house. And we are the ones who have to repair the breach. We have to repair the breach. But you have to work at both ends. It has to start with you, and it has to end with community. And so if each one of us is not doing something toward helping ourselves and helping others, it can never leave your house because you're rewarding the behavior, because as a community and as a culture, we have accepted it. If we didn't accept it and it wasn't part of our acceptable culture, it could not take place. It could not take place.
That's right.
And so this is not a blaming this person or that person. This is a us. This is a we issue. And so if you're not a part of the solution, then you are part of the problem. And that means that you are sowing that seed in your own life. We are talking generation. There's a reason why God works in generation. There's a reason why our DNA code will repeat behaviors from father to son, from mother to daughter, for generations. We call those things generational curses, right? I call it a spiritual economy. God gave us a spiritual economy. And if you understand how economics work, then you can understand why if you are not participating, if you're not volunteering, if you're not advocating, if you're not gifting and giving, if you are not championing these things that we need to change, you are part of the problem. That means that it can never leave your home. That means that you put not only you at risk, you put your children, you put your grandchildren, the great-grandchildren, and even those who have yet to be born. All of us are at risk because you're sitting on the sidelines, and that's the seed that you're sowing. You're sowing a culture every time you make a decision and every time you condone a behavior. But we have to start with us, because our children see us as hypocrites. They see adults as hypocrites. Yeah, you don't want me to smoke, but you smoke. You tell me not to vape, but you vape. You tell me not to cuss at so-and-so, but you cussing so-and-so out all the time, or cussing me out all the time. This is the example that we're setting for this next generation. We have to self-check. Every moment we have to self-check. We have to increase our awareness and also look at the root of what's happening. So you have to start, one, if you don't have a mentor, somebody that you admire, look up to, who you believe, who appears to be on the right path, trying to do the right thing. And I'm not talking about perfect people. I'm talking about, I can be a mentor for you, you can be a mentor for me, because we have some knowledge, some wisdom, and some experience. How do we do that and do that better, and how do we multiply that? You have to start somewhere. And if you want to develop that skill, that's part of our training that we offer when you become a volunteer with Encourage Me, I'm Young. If you decide to be, if you're a man, a father in particular, you decide to be a mentor, we train you how to be the best you and be the best mentor to another child. We also talk about within getting our mothers and grandmothers in our program, because they have sons. Bring your sons to the program. Get them where they can be connected to positive men, positive resources. We have to seed that in them.
You have to value that, though. That's where we are making the biggest mistake. You have to value. But just by calling me a king doesn't value me. You have to show me. You have to put things into me, right?
Kings are taught royalty.
Right.
They're taught how to be kings. It's not innate.
But we were having this conversation earlier, right? What's the difference in chess? Who's the most important piece on the chessboard?
The queen.
The king.
The queen.
The queen can make more moves. If the king gets captured, the game is over with. It's always the king.
I thought it was if the queen gets captured.
No. You can take the queen and still win the ball game. You can't take the king off the chessboard. If you capture the king, the game is over. We have it backwards. And so when you look at the dynamic of what we're not doing with our boys, right? And when you have that dynamic, we are throwing away boys. We've had this conversation. Like when you talk about anything that you talk about educationally, negatively or whatever, the black boy is last on the list. That's our boys. The one same thing that we want a man to grow up to be in his protective mode, to marry your daughters, but you're throwing him away before he even gets a chance to be a man. So then when he gets up, all these men, like you see, all these men get baby problems. No, they don't have a relationship with God because that wasn't instilled in them. They don't have a relationship with their father because that was taken away from them. And to the men that have the mindset that I turned out okay and my mama raised me, he'll be all right. That philosophy, you're contributing to the bottom line of murder and illness. Our men have to change the perspective of where they are. If you need medical, I got you. If you need mental health, I got you. We got to get our men to understand that they have to be alive in order for the children to get from them what they need. And so if I'm killing you at the boy level and we're reproducing that trauma consistently, these are traumas that's placed on that code. This is not just a conversation for anybody else. These traumas are placed on the code. So when we procreate trauma. When we take away the father, that's on the code. When we abuse the mother, that's on the code. And I have no sympathy for a man. Never put your hands on a woman. I want to make that clear. I've always stood by domestic violence advocates. I am not in this game at all. You will not. You need to understand. Even in our Fatherhood magazine, there will be an article called "Keep Your Hands to Yourself." Mm-hmm. That's both men and women. Mm-hmm. Men, most definitely. Of course, there's this show that women initiate by hitting men first. Doesn't matter. You should not have to put your hands on a woman. We are excessively across this country abusing women of all types, and it has to stop. That is an area for where men can get better. But again, where are they getting this from? From a trauma-filled childhood. A trauma-filled childhood where I will then decide to put my hands on what I consider somebody that I love. Well, love, this is what I learned. If I love you, let me trap you, hold you, keep you in this space. No. Men, we got to get out of that. And we got to get out of that in a hurry because our children are repeating that same thing.
And again, where the areas where we are experiencing illness, we have to look at the deeper roots. And we have to be about the opportunities that we have for healing. So the workshops, the conferences that are happening that are about self-love, healing, we need to be present at those things. We need as much information and as many tools as we can get because we're combating conditioning. We're combating complacency. We're combating all the things that have shown us this and the images that are rotated in front of us over and over again. It's programming. It's programming. We have to break the cycles and we have to break the programming. And the only way to do that is to have more being poured into you than you have that's in front of you. So Let us start today. Start with the awareness. Start your path of healing. Continue your path of healing. Get new tools, information, because change only happens when you first appreciate it and then apply it. And so we do a lot of information on our podcast. There are a lot of people who put information on their podcast and in front of you. Review the information. Look for the credible witness. Look for the person that has the wisdom, the experience, and the knowledge, and that it aligns with your values. So you may have to reevaluate your values if it's aligning and there's death and destruction at the end of that course. If there's a glorification of violence and drugs and substitutes and alternatives that are not healthy for you and no longer serve you. You're on the wrong path. You're on the long path. Let me not say wrong path. You're on the long path around. We need for you to have a concise direction. And knowing that is when you align with others. So I want to talk really quickly about things that are coming up. So this Wednesday, April the 10th at 7 p.m., we are having the Ready Women Collective Alignment Partner meeting. And so that means if you're an organization, if you're a business, if you're a mother, you're a grandmother, and you're ready to get involved, you need to be connected in this space. And so this is it's a Zoom call. You can find the information on my website, which I'm going to give you 2 more times. So go to yourinspiredjourney.com. Look under upcoming events, yourinspiredjourney.com. I need for you to connect there to start this journey. You start there for your healing also on Saturday, April the 13th at 10 a.m. We're having a spring cleaning detox too. And so that's detoxing financially, personally, and socially. That's in your purpose journey. So that's another area that you can connect. Come and get the information, get your healing, connect to other positive women, and change your dynamic, change your level of awareness. It is a free workshop because we want you to help walk this walk with us. We need you to be a volunteer, an advocate, or a champion.
Where's that at?
That's going to be located at 1800 West 9 Mile, Southfield, Michigan.
18000.
That's 18,000 West 9 Mile. And then also on Friday, the 12th, at 9 a.m., you can join me on the Grand Rising morning show with the Elizabeth Leap. And so that information is also on my social media. You can find me at Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. Please join us for that conversation. I'm really looking forward to talking to the ladies who are curating the Elizabeth Leap, a Women's Visionary Conference coming up on May the 4th. It's going to be an amazing opportunity for you to join and for you to find more out about the conference.
All right.
And then on Thursday,
April 11th, we are having our first meeting in the space where we will launch the Fatherhood Resource Center, which is located at 26300 Woodward Avenue. And that'll be at 7 p.m. in Royal Oak. And we also will share at that time medical health care with the men who may not have medical health care. And there are some other resources that will be there, but we're looking to shape the space, prepare it before we launch on June 1st, 2024.